In a military camp, there was sufficient food for 300 soldiers for 20 days. After 17 days, 120 soldiers were left the camp. Then, now, for how many days will the food last for the remaining soldiers? Okay, so firstly, there are 300 soldiers are there. For that 300 soldiers, that food is sufficient for 20 days. Okay, let us write a number of soldiers and days. Food is sufficient for how many days? So there were 300 soldiers are there, and for 300 soldiers this food is sufficient for 20 days. And after 17 days, see, after 17 days, this 300, for this 300 students, this food will be sufficient for 3 days. That you need to understand. Okay, after 17 days, for 300 soldiers, this food will be sufficient for 3 days. Okay, so after 17 days, how many are left? That means 120 soldiers are left. So on subtracting this 120 from the 300, we get 180. So now what do they ask? They are asking us to find out for 180 students this food will be sufficient for how many days? How many days this food will be sufficient? Now let me read this question from this part. For 300 soldiers, food is sufficient for 3 days. Okay, now for 180 soldiers, how many days that will be sufficient? Now if you suppose this is M1 and this is D1 and this is M2, and we need to find out D2. Understand? So M1 is 300, M2 is 180, D1 is 3, and D2 we need to find out. We know the formula is M1 into D1 is equal to M2 into D2. And substituting these values in this, so we get 300 into D1 is 3 is equal to M2 is 180 into D2. Now I'm transporting this 180 to other hand of equation. 300 by 180 into 3 is equal to D2. Okay, 0 0 get cancelled. Okay, 6 3s, 6 5s, 3 3, 3 ones, 3 ones. So you get a D2 as a 5. That means for remaining 180 soldiers, this food will be sufficient for 5 days.